So today I want to talk about a phenomenon known as the overcompensation diet. Now, if you are a prep coach or a diet coach, even does lifestyle diets, etc., you have undoubtedly done this before. You've given someone an overcompensation diet. You don't want to do this. The client doesn't want it. You don't want to give it to them, but invariably it always happens. Why does it happen and what is it? That's what we're going to go over today and how to avoid it. The overcompensation diet starts when a client signs up. They are at their zenith of enthusiasm for what you want to do, for what they're trying to do, their goals, so forth. So at that point, whatever you give them, they will try to follow to the letter. So that's what they do. You give them this well thought out meal plan, and with the best of intentions, they go and they try to follow it to the best of their ability. Now, no one's perfect. I realize that. But if they're not following it to the letter, as I told them to do, sometimes they get embarrassed and they don't want to tell you as a coach that they've failed, especially if it's the first week, second week, right at the beginning. They may follow it exactly for the beginning, at the beginning, because they're so enthusiastic about what they're doing that they'll take it and look at it, and it's their new Bible of diet, their new Bible of eating. So the first week might go well. Second week, it might start to fall apart. Third week, it's starting to not even resemble the first incarnation of the meal plan. But when they come in for their weekly follow-ups, they don't tell you this. They lie. Now, they lie because they're embarrassed. They lie because they feel that Dave's going to think it's weak, or whoever you are is going to think it's weak. As their coach, as their nutritionist, they kind of hold you to this level, like almost like a deity, where if they fail and they tell you about it, they feel like you're going to give up on them, or you're going to feel like they're a failure. So invariably what they do is they lie about what they did in terms of going off the plan. This is where the whole thing of the overcompensation diet starts, because they come in, they're lying about what they did. They say they followed it perfectly, but the results, i.e. the weight and the body fat readings, do not reflect that. Now, as their nutritionist, you damn well know that A plus B equals C. And that if they did the things that you told them to do, the results would be forthcoming and you'd be able to see the weight loss, you'd be able to do the calipers and see the fat loss. But that's not happening. However, they're telling you that they followed it, which you know is a lie. Now, short of coming out and saying, okay, you're a damn liar, which is uncomfortable for a lot of people to do, they just pretend, the nutritionist pretends that they believe what the client's saying. And that starts the whole ball rolling. What that does is it creates a situation where now you pretending that you believe them are going to make these micro adjustments to the plan. Now, think about this. You're either cutting calories or cutting carbs or adding some cardio or doing something to make it progressive because the original plan is not working, but the original plan isn't even being followed. So what you're giving them is going to be a more difficult version of the original plan you gave them, which they couldn't follow. So as you see the conundrum that's coming up here. So every week now, they're really not going to be able to follow the second one. So they're going to come in really failing at that, really lying about that, at which point you make adjustments to that one, which they couldn't follow, and they couldn't follow the first one or the second one. Now they really can't follow the third. Now they're probably just doing whatever they want because that piece of paper represents something they absolutely cannot do. So they're coming to you, they're pretending they're following the thing, you're pretending you're believing them, you're making these adjustments that no one's going to follow, you're charting these numbers that are just based on the fact that the person's not following it at all, and now you're in this huge, you've painted yourself into this corner that you can't get yourself out of. And that is called the overcompensation diet. Now, if you're a prep coach or a lifestyle coach, you've done this. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You've done it numerous times, and this is the exact outcome that you've always gotten, correct? Yes. So, man, this is such a tough thing to deal with. How do you do it? How do you deal with the person who's lying, the fact that you know it, the fact that nothing is going to change until you address it? Therefore, you need to address it. And here's the solution to this problem. You need to correct it the first time it happens. So when the client comes in and they've followed it for 2 or 3 weeks and nothing's happening, you know that's a physical and physiological impossibility. Right then and there, and what I do and how I handle it is you have to have a rapport with your client. One that kind of allows you to say off-color things or things that might seem insulting if you have a very casual relationship with someone, but you need to be able to go there. Because at some point, you're going to have to say, you're lying. I know you're lying. And I'll tell you this is how I know you're lying. Because 100% of people cheat on their meal plans. I know that. I expect it, and I kind of work it into the plan. So when you cheat, you need to report that to me. And when that happens, I can compensate for that within the results and understand that this was a result of this happening. If you don't do that, I'm blind. I'm running blind. So I know what you did. It's just a matter of you admitting it. Now, if we have this relationship, we can go forward and get all the results you've ever wanted to get. If we don't, and you continue to tell me that you followed this to the letter, which I know you didn't, then you're never going to achieve your goals. I want to help you achieve your goals. So let's start with the premise that maybe you're going off on the weekends, or maybe you're eating a little too much at night, or maybe you're overdoing the portions. You're eating the foods right, but you're overdoing the portions. Something like that is happening, right? But what can you do as a client to avoid this? Well, that's pretty simple, actually. The moment you realize that you've been given something you can't follow, understand that the job of the nutritionist is to give you a meal plan he or she thinks you can follow. And that will work based on the information you initially gave them about yourself, how you currently eat, your current level of activity. Sometimes these things are a little askew. So the initial plan might not be exactly designed for how you individually need it. It might be close, but it might miss the mark a little bit in some ways or other. The moment you realize you have a meal plan you cannot follow for whatever reason, you need to report that to your nutritionist. Even if it's midweek and your follow-up is not till next Wednesday and it's Saturday, you need to report this to your nutritionist so they have that information. They know they gave you something they can't follow. And it's not a failure. It's a natural occurrence that happens because we're not perfect. One of the most important things you need to understand as the client is that it's not in any way a failure. It's simply an adjustment. So if you look at it that way, this thing it's a journey of 1,000 little adjustments, not 1,000 little failures. And unfortunately, a lot of clients look at it like, I failed. I can't reveal this to him or her. They'll think I'm weak. I need to do something. Maybe I just won't eat the day of my father. That's the worst thing that a client can do. I see it all the time. They don't eat, or they stop drinking their water that day, so they'll weigh less. I never saw the logic in that. You know that you might weigh less only because that day was different than the other days. It's not a failure. It's an adjustment. This whole thing is based on the fact that the body, it gets acclimated to what you're doing. It needs adjustments. You hit a plateau. It needs an adjustment. You get your initial plan. It might not have enough calories. You're hungry. It needs an adjustment. So don't think that you didn't follow it, therefore it's a failure, therefore you can't express it to your nutritionist. You can, and you should. And when you do, the good nutritionist trainer will make those adjustments so that you can follow it. They're not going to make adjustments that make it worse for you, that take you farther away from your ability to follow the thing. They're going to bring you closer to it. They'll add some calories. You probably need them. They might add a little bit of carbs. You probably need them. They'll do something that makes it more palatable and more doable for you. So don't be afraid to address it with them. So the bottom line here, if I had to sum it up in one word, is transparency on both sides. You need to be transparent with your struggles. The nutritionist needs to be transparent with the changes that need to be made. And they need to express to you when they think you're full of shit. I do it. I'll just come out and I'll be like, you're lying. I know you're lying because I know that this plus this will equal this much weight loss. And it's just math. You're not defying math. So just tell me what you did and I can help you. Just be bold. You have to ask them, why are you lying? You are lying. Why? What did you do? and just kind of do it lightheartedly, but do it. Call them out on their shit. They'll appreciate it in the end when they finally get to their goals. So it's a relationship like any other. You have to communicate to your partner the things you need, the things you want, the things that aren't really to your liking on both ends. And in that way, it's going to be a marriage that works for the long haul to get you to your goal, both on the side of the client and on the side of the trainer.